where it's an unnecessary expansion. But I think at this point, I mean, I still am strongly in favor of the Afghan war. I think that we need to destroy these terrorist networks.
Yep.
And I'm still under the belief that by any means necessary, if we need to get these people out of the Middle East, because like you said, the Taliban is only one arm of this terrorist, of different terrorist organizations in this huge network. I think at this point we just need to get rid of the big ones, like the ones in Somalia, the Taliban, and just get them in shambles, and then hopefully do more to get them out. I don't know. I'm just saying that I think
smaller, like more battles rather than a war.
Yeah,
where you could just send in smaller units, specialized units to go in and wipe them out.
Yeah. See, I think at this point we just need to get rid of all of these huge networks, and if that means going into Somalia, means it going into Yemen, means going into Pakistan, I'd say you have to do it. I'd say you have to do it.
Yeah. Now there are two other questions here. Also in the speech, he talked about rewarding the Afghan government for doing, for helping battle these kind of guys. And there's been a lot of news recently, although it's been widely known that the president of Afghanistan, Karzai, is an extremely corrupt man and supposedly rigged their last election. And rigged the last election. And so what do you think? What kind of pull do you have with these people? What he never said the award, and they haven't said it since. And what do you have? What kind of pull do you have over this guy? He's either going to stay in power or he's not going to stay in power. I think he would probably opt to stay in power and remain quasi-corrupt. I don't know what kind of benefits you can offer. You can only offer punishments, as I see, and you're not going to sanction a country you're trying to build. So, any comment or no? Because that's something that I think is rather. I thought that was a rather ridiculous statement when he said it. I thought I have no idea what you would possibly do, and then I didn't watch much pundit coverage because I really didn't care what they had to say. I knew pretty much what most of them would say. Dick Durbin was the only surprise. But
I don't know what to say on that, but that makes me think of two separate things. There was one line that I thought was absolutely brilliant, and I agree 1,000,000%. Is he said this administration will not engage in country building like we are in Iraq.
Thank God.
Exactly. I thought he said, and then the other thing that was really cheesy, but I think will work great, is the only country I'm interested in building is America, which I thought was brilliant. Why are we? My biggest complaint with the Iraq War is why were we spending so much money on building their country when we could be building our own?
Yep. Yep. No, I completely agree.
And then that was the one thing that stuck out. And the other thing that really stuck out to me was when he addressed people's concerns about Afghanistan turning into Vietnam Part 2. And I thought the way he handled that was brilliant. He showed significant differences between Afghanistan and Vietnam and said, if we put more into this, and we all hope and we all believe, the whole Obama thing that he did to get elected, we can win this. Yeah. We can do it. And I thought that was brilliant for him to bring it up, because there is starting to be that growing discontent with being at war for 10 years almost, and I think that it is key for him to do these kind of speeches to keep the troops, to keep the American people motivated and reminded of why we're there.
Like I said earlier, it was a motivational speech, and I think he did a great job. However, the last thing, before we're going to end with a clip from him, but before we go, how do we pay for it? Are you okay? Because I really struggle with this one. Are you okay with a war surtax to pay for this stuff, which has been suggested by some congressmen? The White House has given no public statement on it, and Republicans are kind of reacting, but nobody really kind of reacts because it's a very hard issue. But what do you think about that? Because I don't really. What do you think of?
You want to explain a little bit?
Okay. Well, what they are suggesting is to help pay for the war, they're going to put a tax on everyone, because Obama cannot yet go against his promise of taxing anyone with income lower than $250,000. But on everyone who makes more than $250,000 a year is going to have a tax that is to pay for the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and to help suffice for those. Now, I don't agree with it, but I also agree that the deficit is getting out of control, because that's what it's about. Because he's legitimately and honestly trying to bring that down. And I really don't know how you're going to I don't know how you're going to do it. So taxes, I mean, as you demand more from your government, you have to expect to pay more. But what do you think? It's a tough shot.
Especially with the economy the way it is, you can't afford to raise taxes.
Exactly. I think this is one of those where you have to go a Keynesian economic thing where it's like you raise the deficit to keep spending so the economy will fix itself. And then once the economy's better, then you can tax.
Yeah, I hate deficit. I hate deficit spending.
Well, foreign deficit spending. That's what I hate. If it was American bonds that people were buying and the U.S. government owed it to the American people, it'd be a little different.
Yeah, and it's for those of you listening who ever thought about being president, find an answer to this and let us know, and you'll have my vote. Yeah. I mean, this is just so complex, and it just once you start digging in to these serious issues, you don't realize how huge this is.
Yeah, well, you have to be honest too. I mean, you can't go in there with a party ID. You can't go in there and be like, "Oh, this is terrible as long as we keep defense spending." Blah blah. No, defense spending has to go down. I think if you add up all of the other all other countries in the world's defense spending, it amounts to either half or 3/4 of what we put in. We spend $600 billion on our military every year, and probably much more. I mean, that's not including the wars. That's just research and purchasing new weapons and all that kind of stuff. So if you're honest with yourself, this is an incredibly hard issue.
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to take it, and I probably should get a commercial in here.
Yep. All right, we'll
come back to
this.
Leave you. We'll come back to this.
Yeah, we'll be back right after this. All right, here's your weather for today. It is 37 degrees outside, but with 17-mile-per-hour winds, it feels like 23 degrees. It's supposedly sunny, though, but tomorrow we're going to have some snow.
No.
Yep, I'm sorry.
Go away, snow.
I'm sorry. Now, we're going to continue talking about President Obama's speech because this is the most important thing he's done in his entire presidency, and it may define his presidency if this war does not go well.
Or even if it does, it will.
If it does, if it goes well, then all right, you're right.
It's gonna be a defining moment, not only in the Obama administration, but in American foreign policy, global foreign policy. I mean, people just think that it was a speech. Whoever that is out there, you're wrong. This is going to be either be a turning point, or maybe redefining is a better way. Redefining is a better way of saying. It's a redefining in American foreign policy.
And as Afghanistan gets better, I see it as a symbol kind of to the world that America is reorganized and it's prepared. Because this is a new kind of conflict, new kind of war, never engaged in this before. And when it started, were a lot of questions. Can the United States handle this? Can the U.S. public stomach it? Because it's going to be long and it's going to be tough. And if we can come out of this, I think it really proves the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, we have another clip for you, and then we're going to be back with some more discussion.
Since the days of Franklin Roosevelt, the service and sacrifice of our grandparents and great-grandparents, our country has borne a special burden in global affairs. We have spilled American blood in many countries on multiple continents. We have spent our revenue to help others rebuild from rubble and develop their own economies. We have joined with others to develop an architecture of institutions from the United Nations to NATO to the World Bank that provide for the common security and prosperity of human beings. We have not always been thanked for these efforts, and we have at times made mistakes. But more than any other nation, the United States of America has underwritten global security for over 6 decades. A time that, for all its problems, has seen walls come down and markets open and billions lifted from poverty, unparalleled scientific progress and advancing frontiers of human liberty. For unlike the great powers of old, we have not sought world domination. Our union was founded in resistance to oppression. We do not seek to occupy other nations. We will not claim another nation's resources or target other peoples because their faith or ethnicity is different from ours. What we have fought for, what we continue to fight for, is a better future for our children and grandchildren, and we believe that their lives will be better